Good day, brothers and sisters. This is your brother Rams here, and I'm glad to be back on the airwaves. I'm coming to you today, brothers and sisters, about a very serious topic that's been a major concern among my black brothers and sisters. And this podcast is specifically for them, but it's also for red, brown, yellow, and even my Caucasian brothers as well. But this in particularly is focusing on education in America and how it's going to affect, or it has affected, has affected the black man here in America. It's very important, not just for black people to understand it, but it's also important for other people to understand it, because now when you look at us, you'll understand what we've gone through before you make your quote judgment of us. You'll understand what we've gone through. So that's a very important part, brothers and sisters. But what I want to start off with is I'm going to look at the history of education in America, as it pertains to black people. I'm looking at the history. One thing I want you all to understand this, and I've said this over and over again, but it's important, and it plays a key role in understanding education, and as it pertains to the education of the black man. And you'll hear me use the term Negro, because the Negro was one of the terms they always used on us. But I'm not saying that's who we are. We're the Asiatic black people. But again, this is, you'll hear me say Negro because this is some of the language that was called us, even though we were not Negroes. But this is one of the languages that was called us. But I always want to emphasize this piece. We are the only race of people on the shores of North America that it was legal to kill us. Especially, listen to what I'm saying, especially if you learn to read or write, or showed any kind of intellectual acumen. Now that's a lot there, brother. Basically, showing that you got some brains, intellectual acumen. See, it was legal to kill you, especially if you could do those things. You could read or write. And that's why America, it was in a quandary when it came to educating us as black folks. But again, I have to go back to my previous podcast about inequality in America. I'm going back to that piece of the Constitution, but I have to, because it permeates every section of our life. And that's why it even permeates education. And I'm going to show you how. Brothers and sisters. Again, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution, the same Constitution that was formed by a bunch of slave owners and white nationalists. There were no women there. There were no people of color there. As a matter of fact, black man, you were a slave when it came about. That was in 1787. So I'm giving you a little piece, refreshing your mind about the Constitution. And in that Constitution, like I said, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, which states that the Negro is 3/5 of a human. Let's take a look at that, 3/5. So these slave owners and white nationalists, they decided that the black man is 3/5 of a human. And that is 60%. For my brothers and sisters who took 3rd, 4th grade math. The percentage equivalent of 3/5 is 60%. So you're 60% human. And as I said, it permeates all aspects of American life. Education, science, business, housing, healthcare, justice system, politics. It permeates every aspect of our life. And I'm going to show you how it has affected the black man, because he's now 3/5. So again, he's less than a man. So remember the equation. My Caucasian brothers fashion themselves as a whole. They fashion you as 3/5. Well, 60% can't equal 100%. And therein lies the issue. Therein lies the issue. So I want to say, my brothers, America made it imperative. America made it imperative that the black man must not be able to read or write. That's education, isn't it? Learning how to read or write. But America was hell-bent on making sure that the black man couldn't read or write. Why, Brother Rams? That's because, remember, this is important. Once the Negro can read, think about this. Don't just let it pass over your head. I want you to let it marinate in your brain so you can understand what your brother's saying here. Because I'm pulling your coat. But in the end, I'm going to give you some solutions. That's how I do my podcast. I'm going to give you some solutions. If I'm going to state the problem, then I'm going to give you some solutions. Once the Negro can read, think about it. He can develop his own thoughts. What? He can develop his own thought. Not what someone else told him to think. Now think about that for a second, brothers. He can develop his own thoughts. But the heavy part is, now he can read, what does that say? He can now read up on his history. He can read up on his history, brothers and sisters. Uh-oh, that's dangerous. Oh, yeah, it is. Because once he reads his history, as I told you, it's very important. All my black brothers and sisters, but my red brothers and sisters, my brown brothers and sisters, my yellow brothers and sisters, and even my Caucasian brothers and sisters. Once he could read his history and get a clear understanding of his story, of his history, he will automatically know the story of our Caucasian brothers. And that's why he doesn't want you to learn to read or write. And that's why he doesn't want to educate you. That's why it's always been a struggle. Should we educate the Negro or should we not? Because if he picks up the right book, he'll gain the knowledge of self. Now, you can take what I say and let it alone, but it's the truth. It's absolutely the truth. My Caucasian brothers and sisters, they're allowed to understand their history. They're allowed to understand their history. They hear their history in school and be proud of their history, which is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. That they be allowed to read their history, study their history, hear their history, see all the contributions that the Caucasians have made to history. That's a beautiful thing. But the other side of that coin is the Caucasians' history ain't the only history. It's not the only history, brothers and sisters. It's not. And this is something I have to point out today when I talk about the education in America. Why it's been a problem for the black man in America in particularly. Because once he knows his story, he'll know what the Caucasian story is. And remember, the black man was the first man on the earth. You can take that or let it alone. But as I said in my last podcast, the black man's genes are genetically dominant. Listen to the words, genetically dominant over every race of people. His genes will show up more than anybody else's because he's the original man. He's the original gene. Again, you could take that or let it alone, but it speaks in the holy books that we all came from one blood. And don't tell me no daggone foolishness about you evolved from an ape. You didn't evolve from no damn ape. You evolved from a human. The holy books talk about the races, the people coming from one human. I wish I had some Bible readers in here, but remember, God made man out of what? He fashioned him out of mud. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Brother Rams, what you talking about? You talking some black supremacy or something? No, I don't talking about no black supremacy. We don't have to have that, brother. We don't have to worry about no black supremacy. We are who we are because we the first. So we don't have to worry about black supremacy because that's some of my Caucasian brothers. I love them to death, but you know they got to have their rebuttal. It ain't no black supremacy. This is a genetic and scientific fact. The black man's genes are dominant over every other race's genes. That's a genetic fact. And again, you can check with your friend Gregor Mendel, the father, they call him the father of modern genetics. But as black people, we were dealing with genetics long before there was even a thought of a Gregor Mendel. Today, you call it genetic engineering, but we call it grafting. And it's the basic process of taking the recessive out of the dominant. So understand what I'm telling to you, brothers. This is important to realize. But my Caucasian brothers, you're allowed to hear your history, see your history, hear it every day, because education in America is based on Eurocentric values. Eurocentric values. That's what America's model is. Eurocentric. So that's why you have a Eurocentric point of view. You have a Eurocentric point of view, brothers and sisters. And that's something we all must understand. Let's look at history as it relates to the black man. You know, I got some notes here, but that's all right because it's a heavy subject here. So you got to have your notes and stuff together, but it's all right, brothers and sisters. I'm talking to you. And I'm letting you know that education in America has not served the black man. And there's some reasons why. But right now I'm getting ready to, again, keep moving on, and I'm going to tell you about education here in America. Okay? It's very important that we all understand, brothers and sisters, that the teaching of black history is a crime in America. It's a crime. If you teach black history down south, if you teach black history in the Midwest, you teach black history in certain parts of the Southwest, it's a crime because it's punishable by you getting fired. It's punishable by you getting fired. So they've made it a crime. Don't teach them their history. Because again, once you know your story, then you'll automatically know his story. You'll know the story of the Caucasian people, and you'll also know the story of everybody else. For the brown man, the red man, the yellow man, and even my Caucasian brothers and sisters. You'll know them all because you're the oldest. You know, like the oldest in your family? Everybody who came after the oldest has a better understanding of them than they have of you. And that's the same here with my Caucasian brothers and sisters. They don't have any knowledge of our people. They were nowhere around. They hadn't even come on the earth yet. So for them to even think they had know anything about our history, there's no way. Because first of all, in their school system, that wasn't even a thought to teach. Brothers and sisters, wasn't even a thought to teach. So they grow up with a slanted view of history. But your brother here, you're looking at a brother, an Asiatic black man, an original man who knows his history. And thus I know the history of my Caucasian brothers too. And that's why I say it's time for them, like all of us must do, We must change and time moves forward, like I said in my other podcast. So we must look at, again, education in America. So there's some key terms I use when it pertains to education, brothers and sisters. Some very key terms. The first term is called proper education. Brother Rams, what's a proper education? A proper education is an education that teaches the students about self. Let me say that again. A proper education is an education that teaches the students about self. That's not an issue with my Caucasian brothers and sisters because the system is set up to teach them about them. So they don't have to worry about that. But the issue becomes when it comes to us, the black man in particular specifically, and then others as well. The red man, the brown man, the yellow man. So they make those issues, but not as much as the black man, because his history starts at the beginning of time. And like the oldest in the family, he knows everybody in the family. But do they know him, the oldest one? You don't know everything about your oldest sister or your oldest brother. Not older, I said oldest. You got an idea of some things that happened to your oldest sister, your oldest sister or your oldest brother, but you don't know like he know you. He can tell you everything that happened to you and some things you didn't even know happened to you. And that's where my Caucasian brothers and the black men are at right now. The Caucasian brothers and sisters don't have a clue of your history. So they make wild statements about you and know nothing of you. They try to obliterate your history. And that's why we need education. Another one of my key terms that you'll hear me say a lot is, other than proper education, is that education is the key to your salvation. Education is the key to your salvation. What did the mischief-making bloodshedder do? He gutted the Department of Education. Why? Because he knows that if you are properly educated, guess what happens then? You can't be manipulated. Which brings me to my next statement, which is, without a proper education, you are subject to manipulation. Hold up right there. Without a proper education, what's a proper education? It's an education that teaches you of self. It's an education that teaches you about yourself. So without that proper education, therefore, you are subjected to manipulation. Brothers and sisters, that there's a couple, we have these people in our race we call them uncles and aunties. Not your biological uncle and auntie. This is the different type of uncle. And you all know what I'm talking about. The house Negro type. You know what I'm saying, uncles and aunties. They got one down there in Florida. They got one in South Carolina. They're called uncles. And when I hear the brothers and sisters call them uncles, I just shake my head. I said, but brother and sister, that's easy to do. That's easy to do, call them uncles. That's not the thing. What you seeing in front of you is what? They lack a proper education. Thus, they are now subjected to manipulation. And you see them being manipulated like it ain't nothing. And they're educated brothers and sisters. So-called educated, but they don't have a proper education. So why did the president go after education? Because he doesn't want you to be able to analyze and critically think Because if most Americans could critically think and analyze, they wouldn't have elected this guy. If they had did their homework on this guy, hands down, they would have never elected him. First of all, he's a criminal. 34 counts. Criminal. So now you're saying it's okay for the president to be a criminal. So now it's a shock when he gets in there and do criminal activities. It's a shock to America. No, it's not. No, it's not. He's involved in criminal activity as we speak, doing things that are not constitutional. But again, the Constitution, again, that's a document that I'm not no great advocate of the Constitution because I'm a black man and I understand Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. So I'm not a great advocate of the Constitution. So you won't hear me too much saying, oh, he's going against the Constitution. Mixed feelings with that. Remember the 13th Amendment? Slavery, end slavery. Okay. 14th Amendment, now we have the problem. The 14th Amendment was to grant birth citizenship. But you see who's fighting that now? All the way up to the Supreme Court, saying that that birth citizenship, birth being born in America, doesn't make you a citizen. That was put there to ensure that the slaves would become citizens. But it was never enforced. And because it was never enforced, we've always had a problem with our rights here in America. The 14th Amendment was supposed to offset Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. But it didn't because it wasn't enforced. And the 15th Amendment is voting. And then historically, what they do to us in voting. So as I say, brothers and sisters, education is the key to our salvation. Education is the key to our salvation. And what do you see right now? You see Project 2025, brothers and sisters, right in front of your face. I told you about it. I warned you. And I'm going to keep warning you. I'm going to keep warning you. When I see the dangers coming, I got to say something. You know what they say about the terrorists? If you see something, say something. Well, that's me. I see something, now I'm going to say something. Black man, it's time now that we must educate our children. We must educate our children. And that's a key factor here, brothers and sisters. It's a key factor. So, brothers and sisters, as I say, we must learn our history as black people. Because again, America has made black history a crime. We must emphasize reading and writing for our children. What's a people's most valuable asset? What's a people's most valuable asset? Their most valuable asset is their children. Why you say that, Brother Ram? Because they represent our future, baby. And remember, I told you it goes back to a principle of Kwanzaa. The colors of Kwanzaa, red, black, and green. The green represent what? Represents physically the grass, but it also represents the youth and new ideas. And Kwanzaa is right around the corner. So I'm gonna be talking about Kwanzaa too, because Kwanzaa is all year round. The green stands for grass and new ideas. That means coming from the young people, but they can't get the new ideas unless we old heads can put some knowledge in their head of self. So I'm asking parents now to start doing what? Teaching their children the black man's history. Now, you may say, well, I thought that's the job of the school. No, that's not the job of the school. That's your job. And there's a people that I highly respect. And the one people that I respect are the Asians here and all around the world. Why, Brother Ram? I respect them highly because they never allowed the Caucasian people to teach their children. Well, you said, Brother Rams, they go to public schools too, but they also have school on Saturday. Did you know that? They have school on Saturday to offset any crazy teachings they get in the public school system. And if you notice, because they did not allow the Caucasian to teach their children, they right up there as far as academics when it comes to math, science, robotics, all of those things, because they didn't allow the Caucasian people to teach their children. Well, Brother Rams, what you seem like you got something against Caucasians teaching your children? Well, it's not that I have something against it, but let's look at it from a strictly competition standpoint. If they gave you a proper education, you would be competition for their children. You would be competition for their children. So it seems almost like a conflict of interest to teach you on the same level as they teach their children. Because now you'll be competing with their child. But if I give you a less and inferior education, you can't compete with my child, even though I'm in your school teaching your children. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to offer some solutions. I'm going to state some issues, but I'm going to offer solutions to those situations, brothers and sisters. We must teach our own. And like I said, I give my hat off to the Asians because they didn't allow the Caucasians to teach their children like that. As a matter of fact, when you came into the Asians' country, they usually chopped your head off because they know that your history was of making mischief. Because they saw what you had done to the black, brown, and the red people. So when you came to go into their land as illegal immigrants, sound familiar? They said, you ain't coming in here, we'll chop your damn head off. And also, because we'll chop your head off, you've been our open enemy for a long, long time. And this is why I say later on, I might say it in a little bit, but we don't want too many Caucasians, if any at all, to teach our children. Now you say, brother, that's kind of racist. I said, no, it's not racist. It's for the saving of our children. Think about it. You're letting the descendants of your open enemy, who crafted a document that made you less than human, and now you want to teach them? You want them teaching your most valuable asset? What are you going to teach them? Self-hatred, because they're not going to give them knowledge of self, so it's going to be an improper education. And that's why my Caucasian brothers, bless their heart, they always tell you that you're not qualified. Tell you you're not qualified because we gave you your education and we made sure, damn sure well, that you didn't get the same education I got. Let me say that again. We're going to make damn sure well you didn't get the education that I got. Because I'm right here destroying your most valuable asset, and that's your children. Making them confused. Turning them into uncles and aunties. With lack of knowledge. Proper knowledge of self. So I'm saying, black parents, it's now time to put up your pants and start teaching our children. Don't say you can't. Because I know, that's for the teacher to... No, it isn't. A child's first teacher is his mama and daddy. You just being lazy. Get off of your damn ass and teach your children. They need you, damn it. Subjected to all kind of foolishness in these schools. Just think about them black children going to school in the South, in the Midwest. The same places where they used to hang us. These are their children, their descendants. And you having them teach your most valuable resources to mess with your future. Your children are your future. If I destroy your children, I destroy you. Brother Ram, you seem a little fired up. I got to be fired up because there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake here, brothers and sisters. Our children are at stake. Excuse me. Black parents, time to get off your duff. Many of you have some kind of internet. You don't have to have a super computer. You don't have to have a super laptop. But if you got a phone with internet, you can look it up. All you got to start off with is great African kings and queens. Start off with that. Then come over to the shores of North America. That's how I do my black history. See, because most of my Caucasian brothers think your history started when you came to America as a slave. They have no inkling of the deepness of your history, black men and women. They have no inkling. You're the authors of civilization. I'll give you an example. How many people heard of the Mali Empire? How many people heard of Timbuktu, the great learning center? Well, when the colonizers overran Timbuktu, we had libraries. You call them libraries, but they had these great halls of manuscripts. Man, I'm telling you the history. Those manuscripts had science and a medicine. It had government. It had politics. It had math. It had chemistry. It had physics. All kind of deep knowledge. Astronomy. They had manuscript after manuscript. So when the white invaders came, they did not just take the gold, because Mali was one of the richest countries in the world, and that was our brother, Mansa Musa. That brother was a billionaire back then. He caused inflation just by flooding the market with his gold. He had so much gold, he flooded the market and caused inflation. But Timbuktu was a great learning center, brothers and sisters. That's the point I want to say to you. Timbuktu was a great learning center. Medicine, like I said, government, architecture. Remember, the black man had been on the earth for hundreds of thousands of years, even before there was even a thought of a Caucasian. We saved that knowledge, and when the white conquerors came, they took that knowledge back to where? To Europe. They burned some of the stuff, but they said, wait a minute, this stuff is valuable. So they took it back to Europe. Now you can take what I said or let it alone. But all you got to do is look up Timbuktu. I remember this young brother said to me when I was telling him about Timbuktu, he said, Timbuktu was like the black Harvard. I laughed. I said, brother, I mean, I understand you base your intelligence on the thing on Harvard, but let me give you your history, brother. Timbuktu had been formed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before there was even a thought of a Harvard. There was no thought of no Harvard when Timbuktu was formed. Go to your history and look up the Moors' contribution to Western civilization. That's the title. The Moors' contribution to Western civilization, which is another code word I want to tell my brothers and sisters when they hear this. When you hear our Caucasian brothers talking about returning to Western civilization, you're talking about them returning to white nationalism. See? Remember, Project 2025 is in full effect, y'all. I told you, that was the game plan of the Republicans. What's the first thing in Project 2025? Destroy democracy. Look for yourself. Destroy democracy. Get it out the way. Because we're getting ready for a dictator, a Caucasian who's above the law. That's one of the traits that my Caucasian brothers, in a kind of crazy, sick way, admire. A white man above the law. But they didn't think that he would do what he's done. And that's where the shock comes in. Sure, it's okay to attack the border and attack brown people and all that. The Moors' contribution to Western civilization, look it up. And you'll see what the black man contributed. But his education is the key. His education is the key. And in America has done a piss poor job of educating our children. And so we must stand up right now, brothers and sisters, because we're right now with this Project 2025, the destruction of democracy, the onset of white nationalism. Now, Brother Rams, why do you say that? Because remember, they are now going after mainly people of color. You don't see them ICE arresting no people, white people. I want y'all to look at that. Do you see them going into some of these white communities arresting white people? And I guarantee you there's some here illegally. Remember, their thing is, well, if you came in here illegally, you broke the law. Okay. That's your thing? Guess what? There's 11 million illegal then. You going to arrest all 11 million? What does that look like? Utter stupidity. But they don't arrest any white people for ICE. When's the last time you saw it? White nationalism. What did Trump do? He went and got some white nationalists out of South Africa, refugees, and brought them here to America. The black refugees, he said, the hell with you. Pure example of white nationalism. That's what Project 2025 is about. Destroy democracy, insert a white man dictator, and destroy America's institution. Destroy their institutions. By what? Placing flunky, lackey, puppet-like people in charge of them. They're doing their job. They're doing their job, brothers and sisters. But as I say, there's a true and living God. And don't worry, he's here. He's here. And I always keep saying this, but I'll say it till I'm purple in the face. All the great societies thought they were going to last. Ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. They don't exist today no more. Because why? God wiped them out. Sodom and Gomorrah, like I said, not even a blade of grass grows there. Not even a blade of grass grows there, brothers and sisters. So it's important for you to understand this. Education of the black man. Education in America. What it's about. It's not a proper education. It's an inferior education. And like I told you, most of our children go to public schools. Yeah, a few get vouchers, a few go to private schools, but the majority of us go to public school. I went to public school. I didn't go to no private school. And all those vouchers do, it's an age-old argument, is that they take money from the public schools. When you finance the voucher program, you're taking money from the public schools. And who are you hurting most? The people of color. That's education in America. The voucher program doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. They try it as a tactic to shut down public education. Remember, Donald Trump and what's that woman named Linda McMahon? They've done their job to destroy the Department of Education. Wiped it out. Department of Education. What did they do? They did this, brothers and sisters. First of all, And to me, the most important, they eliminated the Office of Civil Rights. What's that mean, Brother Ram? That means when states have complaints, when people have complaints, they can take it federally. Like if you're in Arkansas or Alabama and you notice that the black boys getting suspended a lot more than the white children, and you want to say, hey, wait a minute, how come the black children are suspended at a rate a lot higher than the white children? And you want to file a complaint, Trump eliminated all that office. You can't make it. He said, leave it in the hands of the state. Leave it in the hands of the state? They're the ones responsible for the problem. They're responsible for the problem. They also, Department of Education looks over the student loans. How are we going to compete in the 21st century if you're making it nearly impossible to afford college or go to college because you don't have the money? Cutting out grants and scholarships and stuff like that, especially for the poor people who want to try to lift themselves up. Remember the American dream? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, work hard, go to school. That ain't the American dream no more. It's an American nightmare now. And then the other piece the Department of Education is supposed to do is supposed to look out for the minority students as well as the handicapped students. That's the three major functions of the Department of Education. Has been obliterated. So how does America compete with Japan? How does America compete with India? How does America compete with Pakistan? How does America compete with China when they've destroyed our educational system? It's time to teach your own children, black man and woman. And I'm saying you don't have to have no college degree. All you got to know how to do is read and write and work your little computer at home or your phone. The world's at your fingertips, brothers and sisters. When I was coming up, man, this research, I had to go down to the library. Now I can just punch this stuff on a computer and whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. So education in America is critical, brothers and sisters. And again, proper education. Proper education is an education that teaches students about themselves. And America has failed miserably when it comes to the black man. But that was by design. They know your rich history. They have an understanding how rich it is. They don't know how deep it is. Like I have a saying, your great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren, if they started reading black history today, they'd only read about 1 page, 2 pages. That's how long it is. Because you're the oldest people on the earth. Brother Rams, you keep saying that. I keep saying a fact. I keep saying a fact. That this is very important to understand, brothers and sisters. That American education has harmed our children. But I'm going to also say this. The other side of the coin. See, no one wants to look at this other side of the coin. Your brother Rams is. How does it harm white students? Whoa, what do you mean it harms white students? You would think that's great. Everything is, taught about white people and white accomplishments and white history. You would think that would be great for them. No, it's not. You know why it's not great? Because the whole world ain't white. The whole world is not white. So it's doing white children a disservice by not teaching them the history of the other people. They don't know where they may go to college. They may go to college and have a black woman as their professor. They may go to college and have a Hispanic male as their professor. They may go to college and have an Asian woman as their professor. See? But this is what you all don't understand. You cut off their education by making it Eurocentric and saying this is the right education for you. But it doesn't prepare them for the 21st century. You only prepare for the 20th century. The 20th century is gone. My Caucasian brothers and sisters, the 20th century's gone. And it's never coming back. That's why I say in my podcast, you must go forward. You cannot go back. Time doesn't work that way. And everything must change. Again, Project 2025 right here in full effect. Cutting jobs. Now there's no food. Starving the people. Is that what you all wanted when you voted for him? You didn't think that he would starve you, would you? They got him, and I think it was in 1993, saying if there's a government shutdown, it's usually the fault of the president. But the old weak Democrats, they never pull that up. They show it to you here and there. Every time he speaks, they should be showing him that. That should be on the TV as an advertisement. That's important to say, brothers and sisters. He said that any government shutdown is the fault of the president. Well, guess who the president is? Oh, and by the way, there's this fact. Right now, the two longest shutdowns in U.S. history has come with Trump as the president. Strange coincidence, ain't it? Strange coincidence. Again, education in America. Miseducation. That's why my brother, I love my brother. God rest his soul. Carter G. Woodson. Don't ever forget that name. His book should be in your library. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. And I talk about it all the time because they feed you a lot of misinformation. But that's why your brother Rams is here to clear a lot of that misinformation up with the truth. Because what makes that flee is truth. When truth comes, falsehood flees. And here's the truth. And that's why I bring it to you, my brothers and sisters. So one of the things, what's the solution, brother? See, because I don't just offer the problem. The problem is we got to teach our own. The problem is we got to teach our own, and that's the truth. Okay? But I'll say this to you. A lot of my Caucasian brothers, when I say that, I laugh because then when I say the rebuttal to it, then I get a shocked look on their face. When I say, yeah, the black man needs to teach his own. He needs to teach his own. What I get as a reaction most times, not all the time, but most times, is from my Caucasian buddies. They'll say, oh, no, that won't work. That's too radical. That's radical. No, that won't work. I said, are you sure? They said, yeah, that definitely won't work. Teaching your own, that doesn't work. I said, So black people shouldn't teach their own children. Well, I'm not really saying that, but it really won't work. You need white people in there. I said, do you? Let's take a look. And this is what I say to my Caucasian brothers. Love them to death, but sometimes you got to come with them with the truth and break it down because they're fed a lot of misinformation also. But it's more on the white nationalist side to prop up the white nationals, the white nation. Hey, have you gone to your son and daughter's school? Have you looked around at the teachers? And then that look comes over their face. Yeah, I guarantee you most of the teachers in your son and daughter's school are white. They're white. Is that radical? Well, that's kind of different. No, it's not. It's not different at all. It's you all teaching your children about who they are. They are getting a proper education. So they grow up solid. But they not getting a proper education because they're not learning about anybody else but them. And the world ain't made up of just them. So their education isn't proper either. On the surface, it seems proper, but it ain't worth a damn either. And that's why America's, out of the industrial nations, it's near the bottom. We can't compete with Japan. We can't compete with India. Not now. Not now, brothers and sisters. We can't do that. Especially now that they've gutted education and funding for college. And then let's add another piece. They're now deporting all the smart ones that come here to learn and could contribute to our educational system. You're deporting them. They want to make sure they want to try to have only certain come. Well, if they're really intelligent, how are you going to determine that? Well, if they got some degrees and all that, then it's okay for them to say, then you become selective. That's selective deportation. That ain't going to work. Now you got brilliant minds saying, "Now I ain't going to America." Remember that sister you seen out there? The ICE agents came and she was a Tufts University student, doctoral student. Snatched her off the street. If you're going to attack even the brilliant ones that come here, remember what I said. Education is the key to your salvation. Proper education stops you from being manipulated. Proper education stops you from being manipulated. So I say, brothers and sisters, one of the solutions is we've got to teach our own. And I know my Caucasian brothers think it's kind of a wild, absurd idea, but it's not. It's been done throughout history, brothers and sisters. But I'm going to give you 4 people. I'm going to give you 4 people who are educators of black people. That white people have deemed these children, you can't teach them nothing. Had thrown in the towel on these black children. And this is what drives me to say we must teach our own. There's 4 educators, and I'm going to mention them right now. One of the first and foremost educators that I've had the experience of listening to and admiring, and his name, you all know his name out there. His name is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, born Elijah Poole, Sandersville, Georgia. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, tremendous educator. Now you say, well, he didn't go to Harvard. He didn't need to go to no damn Harvard. God taught him himself, who appeared in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Now, if you're getting the teachings from God, you're getting the best teachings. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What was his mantra? Do for self and kind. He had businesses, farms, importing fish from Peru, whiting. I remember when I was young, the Muslim brothers coming through the neighborhood selling whiting H&G, headed and gutted. That's an old head now. That's for you old heads out there. Turned black men around, took them out of the gutter, baby. Reformed them, went into the prisons and reformed them into upright, upstanding black men's and women's. He didn't have any degrees. He didn't go into no college. But he had effect on millions of black men and women even to this very day. Teaching his own. When the world said, oh no, you can't correct them. There's nothing you can do with them. They went to jail. Oh, really? Some of the most correctable ones went to jail. Let me give you some names. Martin Luther King went to jail. Malcolm X, one of his proteges, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's proteges, Malcolm X. Huh? So, if he can reform Malcolm, and he did, one of the great educators in American history, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Second, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, brother from a Jamaican brother. Him a Jamaican brother there. He was known for his famous saying, "Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." Up, you mighty race. Get up, damn it, and stop laying down. Whatever you want to do, God is with you. You can accomplish what you will. What is he known for? He founded an organization called the UNIA. That's called the Universal UN Negro I Improvement A Association. UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association. He was a black nationalist. Uh-oh, there we go, baby. Black nationalist. He called for racial separation. He didn't say for racial segregation. He said racial separation. He also called for economic independence. A Jamaican brother, educator, started a newspaper, and all it did was emphasize the accomplishments of black people at that time. Our brother, the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. I got another one for you. This sister here, God rest her soul. I love that sister. And I have to speak on the sister because the sisters, our black women's, has always been there. Black men's, I don't know, you haven't been there, but our black women's have been there. And this sister here, she was born in 1936. She passed away in 2015. Her name was Marva Collins. Brilliant sister. She created the West Side Prep School. It's a private elementary school in Garfield Park. Garfield Park is a section of Chicago. Oh, you know where it's all this craziness and murder and, oh, we got sent in the National Guard. That elementary school's still there, even though she's gone. She took black children, black men, young black boys, who the white system has said, oh, you can't teach them nothing. They're too ignorant. No. You're wasting your time with them. Next you know, she straightened them young brothers up. They wearing shirts and ties and 95 plus college rate going to college. That sister was hellified, educating her own because she decided to educate them. It's called the Garfield Park section. She created the West Side Prep School. Black educator. My sister, take my hat off. I tip my hat to you, sister. Because it can be done. And we don't let no Caucasian people tell us that we can't teach our own. We were teaching our own before you were even a thought. That's why we had so many manuscripts in Timbuktu. We used to have classes. We used to have colleges, man. Shocked them. Shocked the Europeans when they came there to invade. You call them libraries. They had these halls of all these manuscripts, man, of education. Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. And here's a brother now. I got to always mention him. I really like this brother here. He's a sharp brother. And I always use him as an example of black men stepping up, teaching, and dealing with our children. And this is a brother out of New York. His name is Jeffrey Canada, an educator and an activist, of course. You can't be an educator and not an activist. They go hand in hand. Because when you see the education of the black man in America, you got to get active. His name is Jeffrey Canada. He's president of the Harlem Children's Zone in Harlem. The Harlem Children's Zone in Harlem. Blocks of schools that he's in charge of. Teaching black children up there in Harlem. Remember, Harlem's supposed to be, bad, and even though they're going through gentrification, but nonetheless, he's making sure them young black boys and black girls getting a proper education. There's that word, proper education. So don't ever let none of our Caucasian brothers say, well, I don't think it's a good idea, you should teach your own. Then you know he's not your friend. As soon as he say that, you know right there the red flag should go up. He's not your friend. He doesn't want the best for you, but your friend wants the best for you. All he's there is to offer discouragement instead of encouragement. And that's something we got to understand. So I just gave you 4. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, our sister Marva Collins, God rest her soul, and my brother Jeffrey Canada. The kids in Harlem, they can't learn nothing. Oh, there's a movie I want you to see if you want to know his works. It's called Waiting for Superman. I got to promote that. It's called Waiting for Superman. It's a documentary done by Jeffrey Canada. And it's about how the kids waiting around hoping to get picked to go to a private school. The trials and tribulations these families go through trying to get picked to go to a private school. So that's our brother, Jeffrey Canada. And like I said, I love the brother. He's a good brother. And we can learn a lot from him. But as I say, brothers and sisters, education is the key to our salvation. And again, some of the solution, we must teach our own children. We must teach our children our history. Yes, you got to help them with how to spell, how to read, how to write. Those are the basics. You got to do that. You should be doing that any damn way. As a parent. Come on over here and let's spend some time. What did you learn today? Get out your work. Let me see what you did. You're writing your letters here. Come on over here and sit down. Let's write some of your letters you learned today. You got to do it, parents. Our children's lives and futures are at stake. A lot of this Black history you can look up on your website. Now you may say, well, I got little kids. Oh yeah, they got stuff. I'll give you another one to look up. Kings and Queens of Africa, Kings and Queens of Africa for children. A history of the Kings and Queens of Africa for children. Look it up as a resource for the little kids. Because a lot of parents, my son, they can't read yet. Well, teach them to read, damn it. That's why you're a parent. And again, a child's first teacher ain't no sapsucker at the school. The first teacher's the mama and then the daddy, if daddy's around. So that's important to understand, my brothers and sisters. Education in America. But remember, it goes back to what? Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. You're considered 3/5. And one of the areas that you don't get equal is in education. You get a warped, twisted education that's not proper. And that's why you see the uncles that are out there and the aunties that are out there without proper education. You're subject to manipulation, and you see them being manipulated all the time. And that's why I want you to understand this is not an easy thing, brothers and sisters, but we've got to do what we've got to do, and that is to educate our own. Not just Black History Week. Just get a couple of things. Just do this, brothers and sisters. I'm giving you a little suggestion. Start with the kings and queens of Africa. Start there. Not in America. Because then you fall in the pattern of what the Caucasian wants you to believe, that your history started when you came to America. No. Can't be no further than the truth. So, brothers and sisters, it's a pleasure to be talking with you again. Like I said, I'm up here on YouTube, and I want y'all to follow me because I got some hard-hitting stuff. And but the main thing I'd say to all my followers, Black, white, and everybody in between, please be safe. Pray to the living God. Whoever God you pray to him, because we're going through some wicked times here. We got a president that don't give a damn if even the children starve. He building a ballroom. That's more important to him than seeing you eat. Gave $20 billion to Argentina, but won't help subsidize and work with the Democrats on the ACA. That's the times we're in, brothers and sisters. So again, pray to the dear Lord. Thank you so much for listening, and may God bless you. Peace and prosperity to you all.